Go.
Do you have electricity? Have you paid your electricity bills? Hi, I'm Information Officer Nikita Turnbull, and welcome to this episode of A Look into 2018. Today we will be speaking with the General Manager for the British Virgin Islands Electricity Corporation, Mr. Leroy Abraham, who will give us an update on the power restoration of the territory. Stay tuned to hear more about when electricity will be back in your area. So before we start talking about 2018, tell us a bit about your successes and setbacks of 2017.
Well, I think it goes without saying the greatest setback was the hurricanes in September, Irma and Maria, which changed the whole trajectory of the territory. And it goes without saying also the BVI Electricity Corporation. That was the greatest setback to all of us. The successes, I would say, was the ability for the BVI Electricity Corporation team to rally and essentially bring the country back to some state of normalcy prior to the ending of December, having approximately 60% of the grid restored by the ending of December. So I think that was a huge success and a testament to the success of teamwork at the end of the day.
So you touched on the disasters that obviously happened at the end of 2017, and as we can see, the building behind of us is a bit damaged. When will you begin repairs on your building?
I think the BVI Electricity Corporation is no different from any other individual or organization. Right now we're in the process of addressing our insurance claims, which will put us in a position to start doing the necessary modifications and repairs that are necessary to our headquarters. One of our buildings that housed the transmission distribution department, as you can see, was totally leveled. Our IT department, it lost its roof completely, and there was severe damage to our administration offices. So at this point in stage, we're just like some or most of the territory in terms of addressing insurance claims, such that we can restore our premises here back to normal.
Okay, let's talk about now the power restoration. What's the progress of power restoration to date? What is the percentage on each island?
On each island, I can comfortably state that Anegada is now 100% restored. It's been 100% since prior to Christmas. Jas Van Dyke at this point in stage is approximately, I would say, 80%, and we're hoping to finalize restoration on Jas Van Dyke in the next 3 weeks. Virgin Gorda is a comfortable 90 percentile, around 95%, and we're looking at finalizing restoration in Virgin Gorda in the next 2.5 weeks the most. We should be able to restore all customers that we can in Virgin Gorda. Tortola, which as we know is the most populated and largest of the islands, we're currently, in terms of restoration, we're at 80%. And we're hoping to finalize restoration with regards to those customers that we can connect to the grid within the next 6-7 weeks.
So we'll take a break right here. Thank you for joining us. You have been watching A Look into 2018 with the General Manager, Mr. Leroy Abraham. There are so many ways you and I can help conserve energy at home, school, and work. We can also start by turning off the lights when we leave a room. Old fluorescent lights burn more energy than LED lights, which are energy efficient. So let's open up the shades and let in some light. Also, make sure that the AC is at optimal level instead of freezing cool. But in this case, let's just turn it off. There are many ways to conserve energy at work, like minimizing hot water usage, and turning down the refrigerator dial, for crying out loud. Remember these tips to improve energy sustainability and build our economy for a better tomorrow. Just turn up the light. Back with the General Manager for the BVI Electricity Corporation, Mr. Leroy Abraham, who's given us an update on the 2018 plans for the corporation. So Mr. Abraham, how did the newly constructed...
Well, to be very honest, Nikita, all praise and thanks to God for that extension, which was commissioned and handed over to us in May 2017, because that extension is what is maintaining power in the BVI following the hurricanes in September. The older section of the power station that we call Station A, it lost practically almost all of its roof. And as we all know, water and electricity doesn't mix. So based on the significant water ingress from Hurricane Irma, and then the Hurricane Maria, which was two weeks later, a lot of water was in the power station. In trying to recommission or start up the power station after the whole cleaning exercise was done, sometime in October, late September, October, a certain section of that power station, what we call a 480 bus board, actually exploded because of moisture in the power station. So since the hurricanes, Station B, which was the most recent extension commissioned, and we had the handing over ceremony in May, that is what is maintaining the lights on in the territory. So thank God we were able to finalize that project on time and have it handed over to us.
Indeed, and also after the hurricanes, we were receiving teams to help us restore electricity. Are we still receiving teams?
Teams are starting to remobilize. We have the team from Bermuda, Belco, so they came in this week, and we're just waiting for the itineraries for the other teams that will be coming back to assist us in getting over this finish line of completion of our restoration efforts.
So let's now talk about the process for restoration in regards to you planting poles to reconnection. Can you give us a bit of an explanation of how that is done?
Well, in some instances, the hurricanes have given us a clean canvas in which to work with because everything came down in some areas. So there was nothing existing to reference from in terms of how things were. We at the BVI Electricity Corporation have utilized that as an opportunity to redesign some of these areas. And in doing so, it's much more, is easier for maintenance, and also from a design standpoint in reference to operating the grid and the electrical infrastructure, it gives us a little bit more flexibility. So first of all, a design, particularly for those areas, as I say, where nothing is existing or very little exists, we had to design in terms of how we're going to replace or reinstate the infrastructure. Then the next step is getting the relevant poles planted, then they're dressed, then lines, then transformers, and once transformers are up, then that then translates to the actual connection of customers, reconnection of customers back onto the grid, which is the part that everyone looks forward to.
And the billing system, are customers expected to pay bills before they're reconnected, or are they expected to pay after they're connected?
Well, as a general manager, I would prefer if customers pay their outstanding bills because, as I've indicated, we actually resumed operations here, customer service and collections on October 16th following the hurricane, and actually resumed billing in November. So there was quite a bit of electricity that was actually consumed by customers between their last meter reading in August and when the hurricane occurred in September. And those bills have gone out last year. And on a monthly basis, we're reading those meters to the customers, which have been reunited with the grid, and sending bills out on a monthly basis. So it's fully up to the discretion of customers, naturally, because if you still haven't been reunited or reconnected to the grid right now, then there's no leverage for us to come and disconnect you because you don't have any power. But it would be nice, as knowing that you do have sums outstanding for the corporation, to pay those and bring your accounts current. And at that point in stage, when you do get reconnected to the grid, you won't have large bills ultimately outstanding to the corporation.
And looking forward into the future, what plans do you have in putting the electricity underground?
Well, we've assessed in terms of the entire infrastructure following the devastation of the hurricane. And we've realized, for the sake of resiliency of our network, certain things were a plus. Luckily, many years ago, we put the financial and commercial district, which is what we call our Wickham's Key feeders, where the financial, all the banking infrastructure is, and most of the commercial activity takes place. We made a concerted effort over 10 years ago to put that area underground for the very said reason of, if any hurricanes came through, we would be able to restore that area very quickly. And we saw the benefit of that following the hurricanes in September. So in looking at the national grid, Naturally, from since then, there was other areas that we wanted to prioritize on for key essential services, as we term it, to build our resiliency following a disaster such as what we experienced back in September. So there's key infrastructure like our transmission to the eastern end of the island and Virgin Gorda. There's a portion of it that's overhead. So we're actually assessing how best and in what time frame we can actually put that section on the ground, which would give us much quicker restoration time in terms of the eastern end of the island and getting power to Virgin Gorda. And other areas we're assessing right now as it stands in terms of those critical and essential services and parts of the network that we can put underground.
And another question about the future, what efforts will you be making this year to ensure that renewable energy is integrated into your system?
That has been a long exercise in coming. In 2015, we were successful in collaboration with the Ministry of the Ministry of Communications and Works, our parent ministry, in passing legislation to permit renewables. We're right now very close to finalizing the regulations, which provides the mechanisms upon which individuals who want to install renewable energy at their premises, the mechanisms in which to get that done. We're hoping in the next few months that could be ushered through and passed likewise as the legislation to support it for all customers who want to introduce renewables. That would be good. There's also a few what we call utility scale projects, private developers that have made proposals to us that we're vetting, going through all the relevant technical and commercial due diligence on, and hopefully we should be able to sign contracts for the installation of renewable energy that would be penetrated onto our grid to assist in what we call a blended mix of energy production in the territory. We all know that a certain portion of the energy in the BVI will always come from our traditional resources, which is fossil fuel, but we want to have a blended mix of energy sources. So some of it come from renewables, some of it come from traditional sources, and others from the grid tie arrangement that customers, as I say, once the regulations pass, whether it is rooftop solar or micro wind at their premises, and feed some of that back onto the grid.
And lastly, Mr. Abraham, what other plans do you have for 2018?
Well, first and foremost, Nikita, the major plan right now is the same plan as the last portion of 2017, which is to restore the power to all those customers. I think it's approximately 3,000, give or take, that are still yet to be reconnected to the grid. And we're pushing as hard as we can. And I want to reiterate our commitment to get those customers reconnected. And we're hoping to do so in the next 7 to 8 weeks or so to have all of those customers reconnected. That right now is our primary focus at BVI EC in order to bring the whole recovery effort following the hurricanes to an end, and simultaneously transitioning our operations back to normal, start looking at the future in terms of resiliency and the preparations that need to be done in order to do so, recognizing that in the next 5 months begins the Atlantic hurricane season again.
So just remind us so we can end on a good note. When do you expect to have 100% fully power restoration in the territory?
Our aim right now is by the next 6 to 7 weeks, which should be, I think, the ending of February, early March.
Thank you.
Based on where we are now. Thank you very much, Nikita.
You have been watching a look into 2018 with the General Manager for the BVI Electricity Corporation, Mr. Leroy Abraham. I am Information Officer Nixa Turnbull, and until next time, stay abreast with all government news by visiting our Facebook page at BVI Government or visiting our website at www.bvi.gov.bg. Again, until next time, stay positive.